and welcome to the latest Craftmania Sunday Showcase. I'm Jamie and I'm going to be your host today. Now today you're potentially in for a very bumpy ride. This week we've tried to invest a bit more in your Sunday Showcase videos to try and make them a bit better for the future. So we've gone out and we've bought ourselves a nice microphone, so hopefully you can hear us a bit better. We've also got ourselves some very fancy gyroscopic handle thing, which could mean you could end up seeing the ceiling or the floor at any given time, but we will continue and hopefully get through it as we try and get our sort of head around this gadget, because none of us are very technologically minded. On top of that, we're also having new lighting fitted upstairs in our little filming studio in the hope that you'll be able to see the products a little bit better in the future. They're not quite ready yet, but hopefully they will be by next week. But it doesn't mean you might not get a glimpse of them if we do end up sending the camera up there at some stage, but hopefully not. Now, if you're new to our videos, you've picked a really bad week because of all that lot, anything could happen, but welcome if you are. How they all work is, today I'm going to show you 9 products which are all on special offer being a Sunday Showcase video, and then I'm also going to show you lots of samples that I've created with these products to hopefully give you a few ideas on how you could use them and ideas that you could actually hopefully put into your own crafting. Now, all of the items I show you have a code on them. If you wish to order via phone to either Craftmania Great Yarmouth or Beaches and Cream Lowestoft, or if you wish to text us your orders, or of course you could use any of our social media as well, such as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any of that lot. Use these codes and we'll know that the item that you're on about, and hopefully won't get too confused in the process. If you wish to order on our website, we literally ship worldwide, and we'll talk about that a little while later. We also have a click and collect, so you can use that for Craftmania Great Yarmouth or Beaches and Cream Lowestoft. You don't have to worry about any of the codes. Everything is all pictured individually, and you can just see it all under the Sunday Showcase tab on the top of the screen. While we're talking about the website, this week we have also introduced a new members section, meaning that you can actually sign up to our website, and by doing so it will store your address and any other details you want it to, so when you are checking out it will actually be a bit quicker for you, because you can just log in and everything will be there for you. So do have a little look for that. We'd love you to become a member of the site. It's completely free as always with anything that we do here at Craftmania, trying to keep it as inexpensive as possible, but it'll hopefully give you a couple of bonuses along the way if you do become a member, so please do that. Now then, let's jump in and have a look at these products, shall we? So first of all, we have got some lovely dies, and to go with our dies this week, we also have some very lovely stamps that we'll be looking at shortly. Very clever week this week, lots of ways we can use these items. But we're going to start off just with our first set of dies. Now this is D1, it's our flower set. It should be £7.99, but being a Sunday Showcase item, they're reduced to just £6.79p. Now the good bit with these is they've got these really lovely openings in them, so if you do want to emboss them, you can do. Same with the little leaves there. And of course you're getting all 8 dies in your set for just £6.79. Now these are the perfect addition to dress up the items we're going to be showing you from here on in. So our next one is D2. This is your circle layers die. It should be £14.99, but it is reduced to just £12.74p. Now I tend to think these are the most intelligent dies we ever stock, and I love bringing these to you on our videos because there's just so much we can tell you about them and so many ways you can use them, and it's just ingenious really. But I'll try and explain without too much waffling what I'm on about. First of all, we have an outside die. Now this one has a blade around the outside of it. It doesn't have a blade on the inside. So when you cut that, it's going to come out as a full item, just a full panel that you could then decorate there if you wish to. Our next die in the collection is another full-on die, so it's just one die around the outside, meaning that currently that would cut out as a solid item. We can of course nest that into the first die we looked at and create some really pretty frames, or we can go on to our next die in the set, this third die. Now this one's really beautiful. Now the bonus with this one is it doesn't have a blade around the outside nor a blade around the inside, so you can cut that out in your cardstock and actually have it on your card completely, cut in as a window as such. If you wish to cut the centre of that one out, you can of course use the next die, which is a window element. We can of course marry it up with the outside die that we looked at as well, and that will then cut that out as a complete frame item. On top of that, we then have a really delicate panel that goes in the middle. Now this one again doesn't have a blade around the outside, so if you wish to cut that and keep it in your cardstock, you can do. Or of course you could use the blade the next one up, the one we just looked at a second ago, and it will cut that out as a freestanding item like this one. Now this I really like because I think it looks a bit like a Christmas bauble. So if you are somebody who's thinking of Christmas already, it might be a really nice idea to be able to use them as that. Or of course, if not, it's just a really nice floral panel. You can of course leave out the outside elements and just cut these parts out to make some really delicate effects in your cardstock. So you don't have to use the outer blades if you don't want to. But hopefully, as I said to you earlier, there's just so many ways you can interlock this lot to create different effects. They're one of them sets that you're going to be coming up with new ideas all the time to use with it. Now, another idea that they've also done to work with this set is a matching stamp. Now, the stamp is S3, it's your hummingbird stamp. It's really, really beautiful. It's very, very delicate in its actual design. I've stamped one out here just in black, just on some white card to give you a little idea of what it's going to look like. Now, of course, you can leave it on your card as it is. You don't have to cut it out. But if you want to, say if you were using any scissors or knives, you can actually match it up with the outside blade from that set of dies and cut it out, and it will cut out as a perfect item with no muss, no fuss. It's just going to look really lovely. The actual stamp itself is a rubber stamp, so it's more detailed because you can get a lot more detail on a rubber stamp than you can a clear stamp. It's already foam backed, it's already cut out for you. This is how you'll get it out of the packet. It has a protective covering on the back, so you can just lift this off, and then from there on it will stick onto any clear blocks or rocker blocks or stamping platforms, whatever it is you use to stamp. It'll attach itself to that, so you can use it time and time again to create these lovely effects. Now, your hummingbird stamp should be £6.79p, but on your discount this week it's reduced to just £5.71. Now, moving on, we have D4. Now, this is your oval layers die. Now, very much like the last one we looked at, the circle layers, we have lots of options with this one. So we'll take a quick run through this one. This one has an outside blade once again, so you can cut it out as a solid panel. Next up, we have a really lovely, delicate perforation panel. So no blade on the inside or the outside with this one. It's just these really nice little delicate dots, which again would be really nice cut into the front of your card. And then you could actually put something in the middle of this if you wanted to, or of course you can use it in conjunction with the dies itself. So you could of course use it with the outside one to create a really nice perforated edge panel. We could use it with the next die, which is again just a solid one, pop that in the middle there and cut out a really pretty frame. Or we could even nest it in with the next die. Now this one, once again, doesn't have a blade around the outside, doesn't have a blade around the inside, so again can be cut into your cardstock and will stay there. Can be used with the blade we just looked at to actually cut it out as a really nice delicate panel, or of course we can match it up with the next blade, which will cut it into a frame once again. On top of that, we have another really delicate panel. This one also doesn't have a blade around the outside or the inside, so again will actually stay in your card, or of course you can use it with a blade we just looked at to cut around the outside. And then on top of that, we also have a little oval die to cut out the middle as well. Now, another way you can of course use these is to layer them and turn them into really deep dimensional topper parts by layering them all up, and you're going to get to see lots of them on my samples. But hopefully by now you're getting the idea of just how many options you're going to have with these. There just is so much you're going to be able to do with them. These are sets of dies that you're going to want to use time and time again. Now, D4 is your oval layers. It should be $13.99, but is reduced to just $11.89 on your discount this week. Now, again, a bit like the hummingbird stamp, we have a matching stamp. Now, this is your elegant oval stamp. It's S5 on your codes. It should be £6.79, but it is reduced to just £5.71p. Once again, the dies do coordinate perfectly with this one. So if you do wish to cut out the outside bit, oh, that's the wrong one. Here I go. Duh. Try again. Outside part, that will go on the outside of it and actually cut it out so you've got a freestanding element. You can also use the blade in the middle to cut that part out again. So if you're a scrapbooker or you want to create some really nice frames, that's a really nice way to do it. You can of course leave the outside one off and do this on the front of your card and cut out a little window. Or, on top of this, one of the bits I really like is of course using that really nice filigree part. You can just nest that in the centre and match your dies and your stamps together to create a really nice filigree part on the inside. And of course we could pop some colours and bits under that so we can really see a bit of a pop come through. Really lovely stamp. Another good bit with this one of course is we can use it as a portrait or a landscape. And again, it's one of them ones that we could dress up for just about any occasion throughout the year. Really, really lovely. So that was S5, your elegant oval. Should be £6.79, but is reduced to just £5.71p. Then moving on, we have D6. Now this one is slightly different to the last two that we just looked at. This is your square layers die. It should be £10.99, but it's reduced to just £9.34. Now what makes this one different is it doesn't have an outside blade. So there's no blade around the outside here at all. It doesn't come with it, it's just a cut-in die. So that will actually stay in your cardstock and create this really lovely open work around the edge of it. Again, it doesn't have a blade actually attached to the inside here. So again, really nice part to the front of your card if you wanted to leave it on. Of course, if you do want to cut it out as a free element, you can do, just using a trimmer or a guillotine. You can of course create a really nice freestanding panel. And I actually quite like the fact that they haven't give you a square blade in it, because you would have been paying for that square, when in reality we can cut a square quite easily. So it's probably better that they've made this die a little bit cheaper and not bogged you down with a square die that you don't really need. Again, always with squares, something that people always forget is they make really nice diamonds as well. So if you do like making diamond fronted cards or popping them in your album on diamonds, really nice way to use them. Now our next die in this set is another one of our basic dies as such, basic shape. It fits obviously perfectly in the middle of there, so if you do want to cut that out as a window, you can do. Or of course you can take this one and cut out our next die with it as well and create a really nice topper element. Again, this die doesn't have a die attached to the outside or the inside, so you will need that one to cut it out if you wish to, or of course you could leave it in your cardstock again. Next up we have a little window one for the middle of that part as well, so you can cut that out again and create a really nice frame if you want to. And then on top of that we have this really nice pretty part that goes in the middle of that. Again, you can use the outside blade around it if you want to cut that part out, or of course you can use them all nested without the outside blades to create a really delicate panel. Just by leaving out them two, you'd end up with a really nice fretwork style panel. So that's D6, that's your square layers. It should be £10.99, but it is reduced to just £9.34. This one again has a matching stamp. Your stamp is S7 and it's your Lily stamp. It should be £5.99, but it's reduced to just £5.09. The stamp for this one is a bit smaller than the last two that we looked at, and I think that's why it's a bit cheaper. But one of the bits I really love about this is they've actually made it so it fits in the middle of your die selection. So if you do end up with the matching die, you can stamp that perfectly in the middle of your frame, meaning that you could have this really nice stamped image and all this really nice fretwork around the outside of it. Not many of the matching stamps actually fit inside the dies like that. They tend to go to the outside shapes, which is lovely, but it's actually quite nice to be able to really get this fretwork bit in and include it with your matching stamp. Obviously, if you don't want to do that, you can just use the matching outside die to cut round it, and then you could just end up with your stamped image as a separate piece completely. You don't have to use it with the filigree bit if you don't want to. So that was S7, your Lily stamp. Again, here it's just stamped on black card to give you a bit of an idea. Should be £5.99, but reduced to just £5.09. Then the last two new products that we're going to introduce you to today, I'm going to talk about these together because they're very much the same idea, just very different designs. We have D8, which is your elegant border, and D9, which is your majestic border. Now I know these are going to go quickly because with these are actual dies, there's quite a collection to these. We've featured these before on our showcases and they have quite the following, so I think these will go very, very fast indeed. Now why they're so popular is because you actually get 3 dies in each set. And what that enables us to do is use them in so many different ways. The die in the middle here doesn't have a blade around the edges of it. It's just a cut-out panel, a bit like the middles of the layer dies we was looking at. So that means that that will actually cut in and stay in your cardstock, which means we could create some really stunning backgrounds using these. You can, of course, use the bottom or the top of it as such to create that part cut off as well. So if you want to make that the end of your stepper card maybe, or your easel card, and have a really nice edge to it cut off, you can do. Even the edge of your normal card you can. Or, of course, you could pop on the other end to it, so the base as such, and create the same effect, cutting that end, leaving this side attached. Or, on top of that, you can put all 3 together and actually cut that out, and it will cut this piece out completely as a freestanding lace item. Now I'm hoping that all made sense because they're something you're going to really love to use because there's just so many ways you can use them. So that's your elegant border one. Should be £10.99, but it's just £9.34, and that is D8. And then D9 is your majestic border, which should be £10.99, but it's reduced to just £9.34, the same. Exactly the same setup with your majestic one, so you can nest all three together or use them separately. I've actually cut this out of the majestic one just to give you a bit of an idea. So this is just a big piece of card, and I've cut the majestic piece into it 4 times, just using the middle part. So none of the edge blades, just this part of the actual blade has been cut into the card to create that effect. I've done it 4 times, but of course there's nothing stopping you doing this as many times as you want and creating some really nice sort of delicate background. So the effort's all up to you, really. Also, one of the things you could do with this is you could use it as scrapbook borders if you wanted to, or of course you could actually fold this card in half and actually have that as the top and bottom of your card piece if you wanted to. So many options, so many ways you're going to come up with using these. I think you're really going to love having them in your collection. So as always, you can buy all of those items individually for the prices we've just been talking about using your individual codes. Or, as always, we have bought you a mega bundle. Now, the mega bundle gives you everything we've just been looking at, and there's even more of a saving. You do save more money than buying your items individually, and it's a good way to get your hands on everything we're going to be looking at today. So your mega bundle will give you all 3 of the layer die sets, it will give you all 3 of the matching stamps, and it will give you both of the borders. This collection should cost you £89.42p, but your offer price on this set is just £71.99p, which I'm sure you're aware is a fantastic price for so much of these incredible products. They're just lovely, and they're a good brand, and you're just going to love working with them. They really are a great set. So if you do wish to order this by phone or by text or on one of our social media platforms, the code you need is just mega bundle. Of course, on the website this is all pictured, and you just need to click one item and we will dispatch that little lot to you as soon as we possibly can. Now, a couple more things that we're going to look at in today's samples, which of course aren't in your mega bundle, but at these prices, I'm sure if you want them, you could add them on. We've got several embossing folders that I'm going to be using, which have come into store this week, and they're ridiculously reduced. They should be £4.49 each, but they are just £2. Just £2, better than half price. So our first one is a square one. It's an all-over butterfly design, as you can see in the little corner picture up here. Its code is E10, and as I say, it's just £2. Our next one is E11, and this is our all-over dot design. Again, should be £4.49, just now £2. And then the next one we're going to talk about, and you're going to get to see on some of my samples, is E12. This is your rose background. Again, should be £4.49, but it's just £2. Now, I'm going to let you scan over the next ones, because there's actually 13 in the collection. The other ones I haven't used on today's showcase, so I'm not going to bog you down with codes, but they're available in store. They're also available in Beaches and Cream in Lowestoft, and they're of course available on the website. So if you do wish to get your hands on any of them, you can do. So do have a little look. But they are going very quickly. They arrived earlier on in the week, and they really have been flying out the door. Now, talking of things flying out the door, last week's Sunday showcase is one of the best showcases we have ever had. Product-wise, I've lost count of how many of these little pots of polish we've gone through. This is actually my collection because we are sold out and we're waiting for more to come in. They've been that popular. We have had endless deliveries and endless demand, to be quite honest. Orders just haven't stopped coming through for these. Because of that, and because of I've actually used them on quite a few of today's cards, we are actually going to extend the offer on them. So if you are somebody who did just get a pot or two last week and have really fell in love with it, as I know you're going to have, order some more. The offer will end the same as all of the offers we're looking at today at 5 p.m. Saturday the 16th of February 2019. I don't think we've ever extended an offer like this before, so it's a really good time if you haven't already got them to cash in and get them. If you haven't seen last week's video, we will attach the link to that in the description or the comments to this video, so you can go off and have a little look at that one. But all of the jars are reduced individually to £4.59p, or you can buy the whole collection for just £62.99. Again, they're all pictured on the website, and of course you can see all of the codes and how to use them on last week's video, and all of the details you need will be on that one. We will ramble on that one telling you that it ended, but it is now officially extended for this week as well. So with that in mind, let's show you a few of the cards I've created using the polishes and the folders and the dies and the stamps to hopefully give you a few ideas of what you could create with them. So our first card here is using the golden flamingo colour. So everything on here started off white, and I've used the golden flamingo from the polishes to actually colour my panel here, the one underneath that, the panel under here, and my butterfly as well, and even the gems that I've put into the middles of my flowers. Not something I was too sure I'd be able to do, but it seems to have worked and it seems to have stayed on there. So dies from today's collections that we're looking at, this one has got D1, your flowers. Now your flowers are obviously just nested around here, including all them beautiful leaves. We have D4, the oval layers. So this time I've used a solid panel at the back here with the nice pierced bit in it. I've then added the next layer on, keeping the pierced part to it, but cutting into it at that really delicate part. Now don't forget there is another blade that if you wanted to cut that out as a topper you can do. I've then used a really nice little label part for the centre, and then a filigree bit for the top of that to go on there as well, just so you can see them pinks behind it. To be honest, I wish I had added a pink layer under that part, but I didn't think of that until we put them all on the table to film, and it was just a little bit too late. But as I'm sure you can imagine, a nice pink under there would have matched in with the layers too. And of course we have a die for that, so I should have thought about that. There is a layer that would have fitted perfectly under that one. But that's the good bit about card making, isn't it? We come back with these ideas and you can do that to the next one. There's nothing stopping us to recreate that. Of course, also we have our border die in this one too. And that is D9, your majestic borders. And as you can see, I've left it in my cardstock on that one again. I also quite like this card, although I've done it as a portrait, you could quite easily turn it to a landscape with just a couple of tweaks, and there'd be nothing wrong with that as well. So these dies really are very universal in that sense. And then moving on to our next card. So this one again has got a few different dies on it. It actually closes over. I quite like the idea of this, so that the die is layered perfectly on each layer as such, if that makes sense. For my actual die cuts, I've got D1, then flowers again, and this time you're getting to see them in blue. To be honest, pretty much I've kept them all in white or cream today. I think this is one of the only projects I've done where I've actually coloured them or cut them from coloured card. But they look lovely whatever you do. I should have really alternated the colours on a few of them to show you how pretty that looks as well. You actually get a little picture of that on the packet and it looks really lovely, and I kept thinking, oh, I'll do that on the next card, I'll do that on the next card, and before I knew it I'd run out of time. So sorry about that, but certainly if you do it, upload a photo to our Sunday Showcase Shares group on Facebook, because we'd love to see how that looks. If you haven't come across the Sunday Showcase Shares group yet, and yes, that is one hell of a mouthful, you can find the link to that in the description to this video, and you can pop on there and join our group. So also on this one we have the twiddles from die 2, the circle layers. Now I didn't mention this when we looked at the die, but I will do when we go back down there. These little twiddly bits that cut out are actually the waste part that comes from that die, and I thought they was too pretty to throw away, and I thought they go in really well with the flowers, so I've added a few of them in, but that's the only bit from the circle set. But I just thought they were a nice little addition, and why not use the waste? Why bin it? As crafters we're actually more like hoarders, aren't we? So they're a good thing to save. Die 4 is responsible for your oval layers, which of course are all of these layered bits here on both parts. You can see obviously on the inside parts of this one how nice it is to be able to stamp on your layers as well as cut out the delicate work on them too. Really is nothing stopping you from alternating your uses for that set of dies. And then of course in the background here, hopefully you're getting to see that, we've got E12, the rose embossing folder, used on both of the front and the back panels of that one too. So quite an easy one to create, not too difficult, but hopefully quite a stunning colourway. I like white and blue together, it's one of my favourite colour sets. And then this one, this is my biggest card for today, and we've got lots going on in this one. So we've got D1, which is your flowers going across here. They've also been coloured, by the way, using one of our polishes. I'm desperately trying to remember the colour. I'm going to have to cheat and look at the bottom of it. What is it? Pink Thistle is responsible for our butterflies, our layers, the little additions on the edges of the flowers. All of that has been done with just that one colour. We also have D6, the square layers obviously used in the middle here. Now don't forget that one is designed to stay in the card, but like I said earlier, nothing's stopping you from just trimming it out. And again, really nice to use as a diamond, doesn't have to just be a square. If you do want to see it left in the card, that's what's actually been done here on the back panel. So I've cut 4 of these next to each other, so 4 separate squares to make up this part here, just to give me a continual border and corner embellishment on the panels beneath it. We then also have the majestic borders, which is D9, coming out from all 4 sides of our square as well. So that's quite pretty, isn't it? Nice way to use them. Nice way to use borders to make up a bigger focal point. Don't just have to use them as a separate piece. Why not add them together and create something a bit different? And the same sort of applies to this card too. So this one actually folds in. So we can fold them bits in and it will actually pretty much match up piece by piece, so if you do want to post it you can do, and then when you get it out it will actually pop up to create a more 3D effect. Now again on this one we have got D1, which is your flowers dotted around on this one. We of course have D6, which is your square layers. Now these are them parts from in the middle of that square one, same one as what was on the diamond a moment ago, but just using the bits in the middle of it. And then we also have our D9 majestic borders, which I've attached coming out the sides of these. Now, one of the bits we didn't talk about when we was looking at the actual dies earlier, which is really worth noticing, is you can cut the filigree part out using the edge part to create a really nice delicate part. But if you do want to put a colour behind it, you can just use the edge part to cut a piece of card to pop behind that, and then that way through the holes you're going to see a nice colour instead of just an opening. So that's what I've done on all 4 parts of this one to give you that effect too. And then on my panels, just hidden away in there, we've got the butterfly embossing folder as well, which of course is one of your £2 embossing folders as well. So quite a simple card again, nothing too tricky to create, but quite a nice way to use them really nice border dies. Again, trying to show you how you can make more of a focal point of them if you wish to. And then this one, my acetate's a bit thin for this one to be honest with you, but this was the only bit of acetate I'd got in my little cupboard, so I went with it. But if you're going to do it, you might want to use one of our thicker acetate sheets to create this effect. So if it looks a bit wobbly, it is. I'm not going to lie to you, but the idea is what I'm trying to show you here, so hopefully you'll bear with me for that. On this one, we have got D4, your oval layers. Now, as you can see, we have used it with S5, your elegant oval stamp. So I've stamped my image first of all, I've matched up my die, I've cut it out to create the window. I've then used another one underneath it, so there is actually 2 stamped parts here. And then I've cut that really nice filigree bit in the middle of it, using obviously the same die to create that part too. I've put a piece of gold card behind it, didn't have to be a matte, it could just be a block of gold card actually behind that. And then on the inside here, I've added another one for you to actually write your message on if you want to, or add a sentiment. And then on this side, I've used part of our E12 rose embossing folder just to create a background part. Of course, one of these could fit in the middle there if you do want to put your sentiment on that side as well, but I really wanted to show you how pretty that embossing folder is and not cover it up because who wants to hide away the beauty. And that's that card. And then moving on, this one's a really simple one, but again I wanted to show you how you could actually shape your card. So this is actually an ordinary opening card, but I've just cut down the side of it using that lovely D9 majestic borders die, and again I've put a piece of card on the back of it to actually make it so you see the gold through the holes on that one. Been a bit messy in my working on this, but if you were doing it to give to somebody you could neaten it up slightly, but again it shows you how nice it is to have a colour come through that. Now on my stamps here, you're going to notice that we have got S7, the lily stamp, and then tucked away in the corner here, we've got the little hummingbird from S3. So I've literally just cut that out and stuck that on. Obviously to use my lily stamp, I've also used D6, the square layers, to actually cut round that. I've also done a gold one to go behind it. I don't know how well you're going to get to see that on camera, but it's just nice to have a bit of gold coming out from underneath that and matching with some of the layers and bits underneath the border bit as well. So again, really simple, but sometimes I think the simple ideas are the best ones. Then looking at this one, this is a bit of a different idea. I only come up with this one today, and I'm sure I'm not the first, but in my world it was something different to try. So what I've done here is I'm trying to show you that I've taken 3 of my die cuts and I've created what you normally would to create an easel card, which again these are really good for. So I've got a solid one at the bottom here, I've then got a second cut going in this fold. So I've scored my second cut at 1 centimetre and glued it to the top of my first cut. I've then folded it in half and glued it onto my third cut. So we've got one here, one there, and one there. And that makes up my easel element. So if I did want it to be an easel card, for getting this bit hanging off the front, you could make that just as a standard easel. But instead I thought, well, if I attach one to each end using the same scores and the same formula, it would actually stand as a 3-panel card. And I thought that worked quite well. So I'm sure I'm not the first person to come up with it, but it seemed quite a fun way to do it. Now, all 3 of my panels are using lots of the dies, as you can see. Let me just try and get hold of that one a bit better. So this is D2, your circle layers, and literally all of the cuts on here are from that, other than, of course, the flowers and the butterflies. But they're all just layered using some really nice blue cardstock and the dies from that set. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments and I'll do my best to explain it a bit clearer. But I know I've chatted you through how to create the easels before, so hopefully that makes sense with just attaching one to each end. And now this card's going to look very familiar. I've been really naughty actually. We taught this technique in a lesson this week to paint onto dark blue card, heat emboss it and paint in with some really lovely pixie powders. And then I sat in my office when I got all of my new products for this week, and I thought, well, that stamp, that really lovely hummingbird stamp, would look really beautiful done in the same technique. So I did that to create my first topper bit. I've also cut and layered it, which is a bit different. It's the first time you're going to get to see that. And layered all of my elements. And I thought, well, I need a backing panel to go under it. And I thought, well, the panel on that card that we did in the lesson would be perfect because it matches in perfectly. So I was really naughty and I sort of ripped that off and stuck it on this one. So if it looks familiar, that is why. You will have seen it on one of our lessons, or if you looked at them online, or if you were lucky enough to attend one of them this week. But it's good to show there's no waste, and why not recycle our ideas and hopefully improve on them a little bit. Sometimes things come along that you want to use with ideas that you've done before, so why not just pop it apart and reuse it? So that's what I did. So yeah, lots of pixie powders, lots of painting, but I really think this is really beautiful on the dark blue. Heat embossed in gold and then just painted in with some pixie powders. Of course, your dies for this is D2, your circle layers. Your stamp, of course, is S3, your hummingbird stamp. And then the edge, again, cutting through both layers of my cardstock and adding in that decorative panel on the top of it, is using D8, the elegant border. Again, you could dress that up a bit more on the inside if you wanted to, but it's really nice to see just how easy it is to stick the decorative bit over the solid bit if you like the look of that. And again, really nice to show you how you could shape the edges of your cards. Moving on to our next one. So this one, again, everything on here started off in a nice ivory pearl colour, but I've coloured over it using the blushed peach, one of our opal polishes. So that's responsible obviously for these layers and the one underneath there as well. The dies for this one is D2, obviously your circle layers, lots of them going on this one. And then in the background, don't miss it, this one is D8, your elegant border. To be honest, I cut that a bit too small and you don't really get to see the true beauty of the die, but sometimes it's quite nice just to have a little hint and a bit of a delicate bit behind your fancy bit. You don't want to steal attention from the front bit all the time, so just a little bit hidden away there. And of course, more flowers on this one using D1 and a little butterfly, just because we could never have too many butterflies, can we? And then moving on to our next one. Now this one is using D4 oval layers, which of course is responsible for these bits in here, cutting out our actual stamped bit. I've used S5, the elegant oval, heat embossed this time in gold, which I thought was beautiful. Really reminded me of Christmas cards again, so if you are doing Christmas, good time to think of that. Nice to get general things that we can use for lots of occasions, isn't it? And then we have the elegant border D8 again, top and bottom here this time. So instead of cutting two, I've just cut down the middle of it, attached the bottom part here, the top part there, just to give you a bit of a different effect with them ones. Added in a couple of stamped butterflies, and again, this part in the middle, the best wishes or little text bits fit perfectly on that oval. And again, showing you how you could put the nice delicate lattice work bit actually underneath there using them dies. I love the way this set coordinates. There's just so much you're going to be able to do with it. You're going to really appreciate having these, I'm sure. Then moving on to something a bit different, I've created some coasters. Now, the reason I want to chat to you about these a bit more is you can actually come and do this in a lesson. This lesson, and I know we're getting really ahead of ourselves now, but this lesson will be taking part on Saturday the 6th of April from 2 till 4 and Tuesday the 9th of April from 11 till 1. It's only £8 and everything you need to create this project will be included for you. That will actually include your MDF holder and 4 of our coasters. Now, I've decorated my holder using pixie powders and stamped it and heat embossed it and added a little flower using D1. And then I've actually taken my 4 coasters and I've decorated them all in the same way using that really lovely hummingbird stamp. And then I've painted them in to give you a really nice effect on each of them. I've also put some foam on the back of them so they won't damage your coffee table. All of that will come included in your lesson. If you can't make it in store but you like the look of the coasters, then you can of course buy these on the website and in store. They don't only come in circle, I believe they're square and octagons or hexagons, something like that. So there's a few versions of these that you might want to have a little look at, but they're just really lovely to decorate. And I always imagine something like this could make a really nice present for somebody. Personally, I'd quite like to pop them in my conservatory because they're a bit summery and a bit colourful, and I'd quite like that in there. The lesson, as I say, is available to book as of now, and if you do wish to book it, you can just give us a call on 01493 843 666 between 9 and 5, Monday to Saturday. Do make sure you get booked in for that one though, because there is limited spaces and we'd hate you to miss out. Moving on to our next card, back to the card world. So this one is actually trying to show you. Now, you're not allowed to look at the writing on the back because this is my secret. This is the only way I ever know what I'm talking about, and even then it's under question. But this is a big bit of card, and I've cut my die out going all the way across it because I wanted to show you that you could, of course, I know you showed you earlier that you could do top and bottom. Why not go all the way through the middle of it? So I've gone all the way through the centre of my card, and then I've put some gold card behind it so you see that through the actual holes, just to give you a bit more of a reflection. The card itself I've gone over using tantalising teal, which is one of our polishes again, and then on the inside here I've layered some paper using some pearl paper, and then I've just added a couple of bits in the middle here, again using the tantalising teal on a couple of the layers as well. On the outside I've just got a bit of a butterfly going on. I've also scored this on the side to make it a bit deeper so that it could hold on all them bits in the middle and it not be too deep. A bit of ribbon and a few bows, and that was that one done. Actually reminds me for some reason of Aladdin. No idea why, must be the colours, but I shouldn't let you into my secrets, but it has that sort of Aladdin-y twist to me. Moving on to our next card. So this one we have got D6, which is your square layers again, using the actual square layer and popping that really lovely stamp in the middle, which is S7, your lily stamp, which, as I said to you earlier, really does look lovely to have a nice delicate bit around the outside. I've used another one of our purple polishes to decorate the panel underneath it and the panel underneath that one as well. I've also stamped in a couple of moths and painted those in and stuck them on. The moths, once again, talk about recycling. They come off of that panel that was on top of our blue card we spoke about a little while ago, the one with the hummingbird on. Nothing goes to waste, and it saved me doing them again because I only have one day to do this lot, you know, so sometimes I have to be a bit creative in where I get my components from, and if I can save 10 minutes in painting, colouring and cutting out, I certainly will do, in the hope that I can show you more ideas. Moving on to this one, this is again using D1, our flowers down the front here. Now this time I've actually twisted the flowers a little bit. I've just pinched them around my tweezers to give it more of a cupped finish instead of just a standard overlay cut style of flower. And then I've used D2, the circle layers, obviously, to pop my stamp on, and the really nice delicate one underneath it. Of course, that comes in that set as well. Really nice to remember that you do get a larger one than the actual stamp cut out. So if you do want to add this really nice edge to it, you can do. I've also got, obviously, the hummingbird stamp, which is S3, and then the dots embossing folder, which is one of our £2 embossing folders, which is E11 for your embossing folder. And then our last project today that I'm going to show you is my little box. Now, the box, of course, is using D6, the square layers. The box started off in many ideas, but I just wanted to show you really how, because of them blades cut and staying on, the die cuts and stays in, it'd be really nice to do it around the outside of a box to create that really nice open work. Now, I was going to put them onto acetate to make it a see-through box, which of course you could do. I was going to turn it into a gift box, which would be absolutely perfect as well. But then I looked at the die, And the die, to me, having the ability to cut into the lid of the box really made it look like it'd make a really pretty tissue box. And sometimes we like to give nice gifts or little gifts to go along with our matching cards. So I thought, well, why not turn that into a tissue box just by cutting out through the layers there, and then you could load in any tissues you wanted to and have that as a little box. But of course you don't have to. You could leave that as a solid and just pop a little gift in there. You could of course pop the acetate behind it if you prefer, have the window effect. There's loads and loads of options, but it's just an ordinary little box decorated using all of them dies. And of course, as you can see on my sides here, I've used the different layers underneath them to break them up and actually layer them up to give it a bit of depth as well. So that completes all of the different projects I have to share with you today, and I think we've done very well. I haven't seen you spin out of control too many times, so we did better than I expect, but confession, this isn't the first take. So we've done well to get where we've got to, and I'm very glad you're still with us because I didn't imagine that would happen. But before I let you go, let's gamble with chances a bit. Let's take you through all of the products once more, just in case there's anything that you've forgot. So let's go back to the beginning and see if we can handle that, shall we? So, our first product, don't forget, is D1. That's your flowers set. It should be £7.99, but it is reduced to just £6.79p. We then have D2, which is your circle layers, which should be £14.99, but it's reduced to just £12.74. We then have S3, which is your hummingbird stamp, should be £6.79, but it's reduced to just £5.71p. Then we have D4, your oval layers, which should be £13.99, but is reduced to £11.89. And then we have S5, which is your elegant oval, which should be £6.79, but is only £5.71. We then have D6, which is your square layers, which should be £10.99, but is reduced to just £9.34p. We then have S7, your lily stamp, which should be £5.99, but is reduced to just £5.09. And then we have D8, your elegant border, should be £10.99, but is reduced to just £9.34. And then lastly, we have D9, your majestic border, which should be £10.99, which is reduced to £9.34p. Now, of course, your mega bundle, you can get all three of the die sets, all three of the matching stamps, and both of the border dies. Should be £89.42p, but it's just £71.99. Please don't forget your £2 embossing folders. We have E10, your butterflies, E11, your dots, and E12, your roses, not to mention all of the other ones as well that we mentioned earlier. And on top of that, please don't forget that your polishes are still on offer for this week as well. So if you haven't already had a play with the polishes, why not get some now, especially with these embossing folders, they'd work really well together. And of course, not to mention going with the dies too. There are 14 in the collection. As I said earlier, they are sticking with their reduced offers, and they will be on offer for this week as well. And all of the offers we've spoke about will end at 5 p.m. on Saturday the 16th of February. All of the cards from today will also be put on our Pinterest page, so if you haven't already found us on Pinterest, now might be a good time to pop on there, because you can actually pin all these and come back to them at any time you wish to. Now, the bit we haven't spoke about today is, of course, our P&P. So if you're living in the UK and you wish to order any of the items we've had a little look at today, you can do. Really easily done. If you spend over £35, P&P is completely free, and here at Craftmania we will pay that for you. If you spend less than £35, P&P is just a flat rate of £2.75. Doesn't matter what you order, how much it weighs, £2.75 is your P&P charge. If you wish to order with us for anywhere else in the world, again, really easy. Your P&P is capped at just £10. Again, it doesn't matter how much, how heavy, how light you order, it's capped at £10. If we can send it to you cheaper than the £10 price point, we will actually refund you the difference. If your parcel costs more than £10 to post you, again here at Craftmania we will actually pay the difference. Now, in complete transparency, the average international order costs about £15 and normally takes about 2 weeks to reach you, meaning that you will pay £10 of the postage and we will pay the extra £5. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. I hope you have, and again, I'm really glad that we got through without too many spinnings, and I hope you've heard us a bit better today than you normally do. Please let us know in the comments what you think of it, and I promise you we will hopefully get better with this over the next few weeks as we practice more on screen and off to try and get the hang of it. but I think hopefully we did well today, and hopefully you found it a little less jarring as we've swayed from scene to scene. As always, if you're watching us on YouTube and you haven't already, please hit subscribe. This week we were lucky enough to break the 1400 subscribers limit, but we've certainly now got our sights on 1500. We're already in the mid-20s, so if you haven't already, please do hit subscribe, because it really does mean the world to us when you do that. And if you're watching us on any social media and you haven't already, give us a thumbs up and share our video. The more people who watch our videos, the more offers and the more videos and the more bits like this we can bring to you to hopefully give you more ideas and help you out with your crafting. Thank you very much for watching today. I'm Jamie, and once again I will be back next week to tempt you with another new Sunday showcase. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.